to know right here on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
And away we go. Welcome in on a Monday. I'm Matt in the Bureau. That is the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. I'm here. Beaver is here. That's pretty important. It's more important than me. I mean, me being here is one thing, but there's nothing happens. It's like Henry Ford, his famous saying, nothing happens until somebody sells something. In radio, nothing happens until there is a producer to put it on the air. So I'm glad Beaver's here. And, of course, most importantly, you. Glad you're here with us on this Reaction Monday. There is quite a bit to react to. Yeah, you got college baseball. What? So we firing everybody? Just get in here and let me know. On this particular Monday, get in here and let me know if we're firing everybody. And then what that costs, and then we can kind of decide what we need to do from there. Yeah, and that may go for multiple places. not just one place. There may be other places that want to fire somebody. So let me know about that. Yeah, I saw Mississippi State's quote-unquote spring game. It was really, like an offense-defense scrimmage, but they did have split squad, so it wasn't strictly offense on one side, defense on the other. They broke them up, made two teams out of it, and kind of mix and match. And so you didn't really have all ones in any particular unit, offense or defense. But it was a competitive two-quarter scrimmage, non-televised deal that's going to suffice for your spring game. And I think there's some reasons for the non-televised part of it. But we did a radio broadcast for it, so I got to see all of that. So I got a head full of thoughts on that. Now, I will say, and if you have a question, if you just want my opinion on anything regarding what state football did or didn't do on Saturday in their spring scrimmage, now and today on Reaction Monday is a good time to ask, because if you wait until later in the week, I may forget it by then. Okay, so get on in here now with that on your spring football thoughts. And I've got some too, and far be it from me to heap on praise where it isn't due, but quarterback room at State looks pretty good. And that freshman, I'm just telling you, like, I got to be careful about overstating it. I do not want to overstate anything, but man, I don't know. I've seen a lot, not only as a player, but in the 15 years or so of being on the broadcast crew too. I've seen a lot of freshman quarterbacks come and go. Like, so freshmen out of high school, I hadn't seen anything like this. I can promise you that. So realize that's something people will take and run with, or somebody might take it and run with it. But I think I'll end up standing by that. So that and more we can get into with you today here on the show. Now, let me just tell you, Reaction Monday. So if you're an old vet of the show, you already know this. But if you're new, maybe you don't need to hear this. You can be a part of the show in lots of different ways. And this particular show will live and die with whether or not you participate, because, as the kids say, I'm not that guy. So, get on in here. All right. You can tune in on the live stream if you're on YouTube, Facebook, or X, formerly Twitter. Feel free to pop in there and comment. For example, if you do that, you can not only, your comments, thoughts, questions, opinions, otherwise, we'll read them on the air, but we can see them on the screen. So for anybody that's watching right now, YouTube, Facebook, elsewhere, see what I mean? Sven got in here. He was the first. Sven's over in Germany, and he said on YouTube, "Hail State, everyone. Another pathetic performance by the pitching coach Parker and his relievers. Pico gave him a lead, and 1 1/3 inning later, we get run ruled. Let that sink in." Yeah, that's pretty tough. All right, so we can see where Sven's thoughts are on this Reaction Monday, and we'll get to yours coming up. You can also text me. That's a great way in 2025 to communicate. be a part of the show, text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That number is 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. Just text away. I'll get it here on the show. We'll read them. And Blitz and Hunter and y'all, I'm coming to your texts in a bit after we hit headlines for today. You can also call me, and if you can't remember this, jot it down, but it's easy to remember. The number to call the show on the Divini Equipment phone line is 897-1059. So it's just like the radio station, 1059. 897-1059. So give me a shout, and we'll chat it up. Here we go, headlines.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Check them out online at mortgagemanms.com. The Mortgage Man Group, they've got a whole team of people that are mortgage experts from, right here in the metro to North Mississippi, Starkville, Oxford, Tupelo, Memphis, you name it. Anything mortgage related, that's where you want to go. Trust me on that. Just look them up. Kind of people you want to meet and do business with at mortgagemanms.com. Headline number one, I'll run down what happened in baseball this weekend. On this, hope everybody had a nice Easter weekend, celebrating the resurrection and enjoying some beautiful weather. So Ole Miss and State both lost their series this weekend, and both of the losses were to teams that aren't good. Ole Miss went to South Carolina and dropped 2 out of 3. Now, they lost the first 2 and had to win the third game to avoid a sweep, but that's on the road to a not-so-great South Carolina team. And Florida has been good and terrible all year long, and they say they've got plenty of potential and all that kind of stuff, but everybody was just waiting to see it. So far, their record had just been throughout the year. But they came into Starkville and looked like national champs and beat State 2 out of 3. State, like Ole Miss, salvaging the third game to avoid being swept. But that's a home series for State. And so the Bulldogs are squarely up against the wall. They're going to have to pull off a miracle just to get into the NCAA tournament. And that's kind of where things have fallen now for Mississippi State baseball. There were three series sweeps in the SEC this weekend. Vandy swept Georgia in Nashville. Georgia has fallen on tough times recently. Texas swept Auburn in Austin. That's the same Auburn team that had just taken 2 out of 3 from LSU, and they go get swept at Texas. And Oklahoma went to Missouri and swept them. And Missouri, one of the worst SEC baseball teams we might have ever seen. Elsewhere in the SEC, here comes Texas A&M. Again, former number 1 team, couldn't do anything for a month, fell out of rankings, all this, and now they're hot as a firecracker. They've got a series win over Tennessee. Now they've got a series win over Arkansas. Texas A&M went to Fayetteville and won 2 out of 3. LSU rebounded at home in Baton Rouge this weekend, took 2 out of 3 from Alabama. And look at Nick Mingione and the Wildcats winning 2 out of 3 at Tennessee in Knoxville. Heck of a series win this weekend for Kentucky. We can look at SEC standings later on. We got plenty of time, so we'll do that right now. But in the headlines, Southern Miss, they had a good weekend, good productive weekend. They won 2 out of 3 at hosting Georgia State at Pete Taylor Park. Now, game 2 was kind of rough. They blew them out game 1, 8-1, and then Georgia State with a 10-run rule victory in game 2, 12-2. Southern Miss took it out on Saturday in game 3. 15-9 to win the series. So it was a 3-1 week last week for Southern Miss, including the midweek. This week, what's up next for Coach Oz and the Golden Eagles? They have 2 midweek games. Tomorrow night, they host Tulane. Wednesday night, they will host Southeast Louisiana. And then on the weekend, they hit the road, go north to Boone, North Carolina for a 3-game series at Appalachian State this weekend, Friday through Sunday. That's a little bit of what happened to Southern Miss this weekend. In the major leagues, the Braves continue to struggle, lose their series. They're going to be back out there tonight at Truist Park. Braves are hosting the Cardinals tonight at 6. Braves are 8-13. They're pretty good at home, though. They haven't played much at home, but they're 6-2 at home, so maybe they win series against the Cardinals, who aren't much better than the Braves, to be honest with you. Braves Cardinals tonight, Truist Park, 6 p.m. or 6:15 first pitch. The Rays are off. I've been following Jake Mangum, so that's why I'm telling you about the Rays. I've watched just about every pitch of Rays baseball I could since Jake got called up. I only missed one game this weekend. It happened to be the one game that the Rays won. They had a extra innings win over the Yankees, but other than that, the Yankees got the better of the Rays. And the Yankees are back at it tonight. They're in Cleveland. Rays get a day off before tomorrow, starting a series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. And those, one more headline, baseball related. On this day, 36 years ago, the movie The Field of Dreams was released in theaters to baseball fans all over the world or in America. 36 years ago today, Field of Dreams was released. Does that make you feel old? Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too. Man. All right. So those are your headlines, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Find them online at Mortgage Man, MS. MortgageManMS.com. There is a silent T in there somewhere. All right, coming to your text messages. The first text I got was from Bulldog Blitz. He said, tell us how the offensive line, defensive line, and linebacker crews looked. All right, so here you go, Blitz. This is my naked eye observation of those units. O-line was a little hard to kind of piece it together in your head how it's going to look because they split what would kind of be your starting offensive line group. Like they didn't have 5 starting offensive linemen playing together in this scrimmage. They had a couple on one team and a couple on the other. And you split those guys up, it looks a little different. And sometimes, again, in a 2-quarter scrimmage, it's harder to watch individuals than it is a whole unit. And Albert Reese didn't play, so you get Reese in there, you can have a starting unit. But all in all, I mean, I think I don't know. I don't know that you could split them up. Reese doesn't play and really get any kind of good read that, on your offensive line as a group. Does that make sense? I will say that just, again, personally, looking at a few of those guys to the naked eye, they look, it's a group to me that looks like that, the weight room stuff is going like it's supposed to. So other than that, I think offensive line, a little hard to judge. I mean, the units they had on the field played pretty well. Yeah, they gave up some sacks, but here's the thing. So I'm going to D-line now. It's just a totally different ball game for State D-line. How are they going to play against Alabama or whoever's on the schedule? I don't know, Florida, whatever. We'll find out. But I just know I watched 2 series the other day, let alone 2 quarters of a scrimmage, and it's just the players that they have injected into their defensive front. There's transfers up there from Auburn, Miami, NC State that they look like D1 defensive linemen. They play like them, and there's more of them. So there's a size improvement. There's an ability improvement. There's an age improvement. There's a strength improvement. Everything has improved in that group, and it's primarily just added athletes, like real deal athletes. And so it just looks so much better. I thought Hibbler was really active. I almost said he was banged up. He wasn't. He just got nicked up, ran out, and came back in later. But he was really active. I watched him some one-on-one, and he's hard to block. And it's not because, you're going up against a softie. I mean, he's just a really good player. The big cat in there, 320, 315, 320, I think, from Miami. I think this is the one from Miami. Thought he played really well. And then Reed, I think is his name, the kid that transferred from Auburn. What you saw was something that at no point last year, whether it was a spring a year ago or fall scrimmages or anything, you never, and I kept saying it here when we would talk about it, you never saw somebody in the defensive front that could disrupt things by himself. And when I say disrupt, the kind of player who he's hard enough to block that he just is causing problems. And certainly, like, the extreme example would be, like the Jeffrey Simmonses and the Chris Joneses that State has had in the past, where in scrimmages against each other for practice purposes, our coaching staff had to take them out in order to get some things done for your offense. Offense meaning, you got to get some reps under your belt of it working like it's supposed to. You kind of get the timing down and all that. Well, when you're practicing against Simmons or Jones, you can't really get much done. They disrupt things constantly. You got to take them out for a series or two to let your offense run. You didn't have any disruptors, and it really showed in the games last year. I mean, it's the worst. That team had probably the worst SEC pass rush unit that I've seen. So, for one, nowhere to go but up. But two, they put in some real people. And what you saw in the 2-quarter scrimmage was doing it without some other guys, too. They had several that are in that defensive front unit that are out, a few returning guys. So, if all of them are in a Bulldog uniform, just automatically it's going to be better at that particular position, D-line, or a little closer to what it's supposed to be. Linebacker, again, they kind of some good players. You split them up, but I thought that they played pretty well. And the kid that transferred in there from Tennessee, Smith, I think is his name. He's a really good athlete. Really good athlete. Thought they tackled well. But overall, again, kind of stepping back and looking at it, they defensively, they have a clue. There's a little better depth. Certainly it starts up front. They're so much better up front. Just, again, whether or not they beat people, I don't know. But are they better up front? There's no doubt. There's no doubt. You keep those guys healthy, you're going to go into some games feeling like you have a chance to win it because you can play on a defensive front. They tackle well. They're put together well. You can tell there's urgency on defense. The back end was really responsible and tight. Some of that is, defenses that have a clue usually have an advantage against their offense in those spring and early fall scrimmage situations because, one, they know what's coming. I mean, they practically know the tendencies in the playbook of their own offense like the back of their hand. They kind of know what's coming. But they defensively grown up, added players. There's better depth. There's more competition. There's urgency because they got embarrassed last year. And they went and added defensive analysts that are former head coaches in Rhodes and McIntyre. And it's just a better looking, it's put together is what I'm saying. It just looks put together, and it's going to help the whole thing. And then outside of that, the standout to me is the freshman quarterback. And I realize that for someone like me, I go out here and I start doting on the freshman signee quarterback from, maybe I'm a little biased. He's from Macon, Mississippi, which feels like home, right here. It ain't far from where I live, really. But, and that somebody may use that as ammunition to kick up dust on some, quarterback competition and controversy. And as soon as Blake Shapen throws an interception, somebody's going to be hollering to put, Kamario Taylor in the game. And it's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm just giving you an honest opinion. And I'm just telling you, I was on the team for 5 years. I've been in the booth for 15 years. That's not 20 years straight, but that's 20 years total. And I'm just telling you, I've never seen a freshman out of high school quarterback that is where he is. Physically, just mechanically, and throwing the ball. I haven't seen a kid. Not at State, I haven't. Not at State, I haven't. I have not seen a kid come out of high school and go out there in his first spring, and he was playing high school football this past fall, and throw it the way he throws it. I just have not seen that. It's through the roof. And, I came away from it thinking that's that's a whole new ball game with him. And then it's like, what's best for him? Who knows? But to me, it looks pretty clear. The best case scenario is, I mean, Shapen's much farther along in terms of running a team, running an offense, handling everything a defensive coordinator is going to throw at you in the course of the game, managing play clock and getting checks done at the line of scrimmage with all the reads without getting delay penalties and stuff like that. You know, Shapen's going to be much farther along. And so you need, you know, you want to have a chance to win some games this year. You're probably going to need Shapen to stay upright all year long. And if you get that, it gives you a chance to spot play somebody like Taylor here and there and bring him along and develop him, you know, maybe more solidly before he has to be thrown to the wolves. But if and when that's best case scenario. But if and when that ever does happen, that he gets on the field, I just think he's the kind of player you're going to have a hard time getting him off the field. And I don't know. I've said some pretty big statements to friends in confidence, and I hate to hold back on the radio, but it's like one of the lessons I've learned over the years is once you say it, you've said it. And that kid, that kid is something. It's a whole different thing in terms of a freshman quarterback than anything I've seen. That's what I think. Okay. How about that, Blitz? One text, one question, and there I went. 10, 12 minutes of it. But hey, you only play one spring game. You only have one Monday after it. So when I come back, I'm getting to your baseball text as well as Trez and 1980 and Dog Tired in Florence and Nick and Christian and all y'all. And also on the live streams, Finn and Will and Keith and Chad and Hail State Fan and Will and everybody coming to you. We'll get started next. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity to come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this might be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company, That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
You think right now on the Zone 1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau. Yeah, I guess if you were looking at home team, visiting team, right? So it was 2 quarters, like basically 30 minutes, I think, total, but lasted about an hour with stoppages and timeouts and stuff and a break in between. But scrimmage, they put the maroon on the home side and the white on the visiting side. Okay, but in starting the game, you had technically Chapin was the QB for the maroon team and Cromanhawk was the QB for the white team. And then after those two did a couple of series with each of their offenses, then Taylor, the freshman, began running some quarterback with the maroon squad over there where Chapin is. And then they kind of went on and back and forth, and defense was kind of winning the day for the most part. Offense had some drives, but they missed some field goals and then made one. And there were really two. Well, let me back up. If I can remember this right, there were 5 deep throws that I can remember in the game, all totaled 5 deep throws. The first 2 were early in the scrimmage, were open bombs down the field. Receiver has a step on a DB, and Chapin, who like has a really big arm. Like he's not a huge guy, but that dude's got a big arm, and I'm talking one end of the field to the other and overthrows them by 5 or 10 yards on each of them. I mean, like he really puts it out there. And it's almost like he's amped up after getting hurt last year to get out there and throw a bomb, and he pumped it over their head 2 different times. Then there was one deep ball. Taylor put a lot of air under it. It was caught down there at the 2. It was a really incredible catch. But that came back for lineman downfield. They had another deep attempt, similar type play. You get a one-on-one, Taylor throws it. It was a pretty good throw, but it was excellent coverage. And I think on that one they called a pass interference. And we disagreed. We didn't think it was, but they called pass interference. And then the 5th one would have been the deep ball that he threw for a touchdown right at the end of the game, which is one of the best throws you'll see. I mean, and, I get it. Look, 2025, if you're going into the SEC as a quarterback, whether you're first string or third string, you're expected to be able to make that throw. It's not the ability of being able to make it. It's just, you see it. You got a little bit of a clutch situation going on. There were 2 offensive possessions inside of the last 2 minutes. They were like 2-minute drill situations. They put Taylor in there for both of them. And the first one, he's on one team, and they don't get the first. I think a penalty brought it back. And so when they flipped the ball over to the white squad, they put him QB there, and that's when he took them on a scoring drive. But that was left hash, They snapped it on maybe about the 30. So he was somewhere, approximately 35, 40-yard line, left hash, throws it right sideline on top of the pylon where good coverage, so there's really nowhere to put it except about a little 1-yard box. And that's where he put it. Just as you couldn't have walked out there and handed it to him any better. And receiver makes a catch and gets his foot down. Hunt commented on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, "Hey, Matt, I heard Steve Robertson, who covers State, had a quote about the team that size-wise, it certainly looks like an SEC defense, and if they play like one, remains to be seen." What do you think about that? I think that's fair. I think it's really fair. There's no question that size, strength, ability, like they really went out and added a lot of pieces. It has the right look to it. And again, that's it. Whether you line up and play that way, we'll see. But I think they've got the ability to, which, last year's bunch, they just didn't have the ability. Okay, regarding baseball, Bulldog Blitz texts the show. He says A&M's going to end up in Omaha. And then he says, also, I hope Mingione is high on our potential hire list when we fire Lamonas. Well, Nick sure has done a good job at Kentucky, hasn't he? And didn't he have him? Am I right? Nick had him in Omaha last year? Didn't he? I think he did. And they've got some nice series. Just won a series against Tennessee this weekend. Man, Mingione, he's such a fun guy to be around. Like, he's just a ball of energy, it seemed like to me all the time. Big smile. Yeah, maybe even energy is not the right, but I mean energy, yeah, that does describe it too. But positivity, he's like a ball of positivity all the time is the way it seems to me. He's got a heck of a story. Started at nothing, eating crumbs off the table at the beginning of his career and works his way up. He's in the John Cohen tree. I remember Cohen saying at one point about Nick, he said, he's the kind of guy that if I gave him a box full of Encyclopedia Britannicas, told him to go to a street corner anywhere in America and sell those encyclopedias and turn a little bit of a profit on them. He said, I would have no doubt that he would not only be willing to do it, but he would actually do it. I think that's what John said about him. Trez texts the show. He says, Matt, Mississippi State needs to fire Lebby and hire O.J. Simpson to create a national upheaval. Ask Dion. All you need is attention to get recruits. And then Trez says, I'm not playing. Well, point taken, Trez. Certainly point taken there. It would have to be somebody like, practically it'd have to be other than O.J. Simpson because he's no longer with us. But somebody like that. Just get attention and you can get people, maybe so. Get some money behind it. MSU 1980 texted. He said, Matt, I was listening to the baseball game yesterday, and the game was tied in the second inning, 2-2. We had the bases loaded. Our batter swung at 2 pitches outside the strike zone and then struck out, leaving the bases loaded. I stopped listening right after this. I was putting gas in my truck, and a guy saw my Mississippi State tag and came up to me and said, fire Lamonas now. Said I couldn't argue with him. Yeah, it's a pretty dire situation for State. Somebody was talking yesterday, I overheard about what they've got to do in the rest of their games if they want to make the tournament and all this kind of stuff. But right now, they are tied with Florida down near the bottom of the league at 6-12 on the SEC season. They're 6-12 in the SEC, so that's actually tied for 13th. Then South Carolina is below them, 2 games below them at 4-14, and then Missouri at the bottom 0-18. So Missouri last, South Carolina 4-14, and then State and Florida 6-12. A&M has improved. They're up there 2 games below 500, tied with Kentucky right now at 8-10. Auburn and Alabama both are 9-9. After the series loss at South Carolina, Ole Miss drops back to 10-8. So they're in a three-way tie with Georgia for sixth place in the league right now. All three, Georgia and Oklahoma. Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, all three, 2 games above 500 in the league at 10-8. Vandy has really turned it on lately. They're fifth in the league right now, 11-7. LSU and Tennessee, both 12-6, so they're tied for third. Arkansas is second in the league at 13-5. You know, they just lost the series to A&M, but they're still in second place. And Texas in the lead in the SEC at 16-2. So that's what the standings look like in the league. And, you know, State has just, it's fallen off. And what can you say that hasn't already been said by any number of different people in any number of different ways? I still go back to, you know, if you field a team that is sharp in the little things and the fundamentals, they may not win, but you never call them sloppy. Base running, infield situations, first and third, less than 2 outs, you know, bunt defense and covering bags and backups and all the fundamental just base stuff, base running. You're not sloppy in that. You try hard and you play hard. It's like State fans will get in behind it and support it. Now they expect to win, and I think that's fair to say. But I think one of the things that fuels the criticism as much or more than anything else, okay, yeah, losing causes criticism. You know, it's just the way it is. Winning kind of cures everything. But when a lot of that losing is because of sloppiness in what seems to be, maybe even little things is not the right word. Sloppiness in the fundamental things. Turning double plays, you know, like you say, handling certain situations defensively, first and third, less than 2 outs, bunt defense, throws, hitting cutoffs, urgency, bringing a ball in from the outfield so that you're not letting people advance without really trying to stop them from advancing in situations like that. It's just base running. It's just sloppy. I don't know how else you can say it. And that adds fuel to the fire of the criticism. There's no doubt about it. More texts, more comments, plenty of time. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online, murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was agent here at Farm Bureau that, you know, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community, and what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade, and what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
He's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, that is the Farm Bureau Insurance studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! The home team. On the live stream, let me catch up here. Sven commented, he says, season tickets at the Dude are sold out for the next 7 years. He said, no, all they're going to see is one bad performance after another. Sven is fed up over there in Berlin. He said, Lamonis and Parker have to go. We are maybe the second or third worst SEC baseball team, and it depends if we can upset Missouri. Upset them, huh? He said, what did I tell you? He said, with McPherson, we win game 1 and the series. Yeah, maybe. Will said, happy Easter Monday, Matt. Maybe state needs some new coaching, but the Catholic Church surely needs a new pope. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that news this morning. Hail State fan comments, he's on YouTube, says Michael Van Buren was at the MSU spring game. Was he? Former QB transferred to LSU. Chad, I know I talked about this a little bit earlier, your question on Facebook. Hopefully I answered it. You said, what do you think about the QB position at State? It's good. Those three that were in there the other day, that's three good, really good players. You know, if you can keep shape and healthy, he's really capable of running that offense the way Levy wants it to. And he's a heck of a thrower. You just got to keep him upright for a season. That's the only knock on shaping is the inability to stay healthy. Croman Hawk, kid from LSU, he's big, tall, really, really strong, like a good, he's like physically, like he looks like you want him to, and throws it pretty well. He's made some strong throws. There was zip and showing arm strength. You go, okay, yeah, I see the deal there, why he's recruited and had opportunities. But I really was impressed with Taylor. And I hope nobody takes that as I'm sitting over here saying, he should play right now. That's not what I'm saying. It takes some time in developing it, usually, barring an injury ahead of him, like what happened last year to Michael Van Buren. He wasn't supposed to play last year, but they had to. They really had no choice with the way things went down and Shapen getting hurt. But outside of that, you need some time to develop and work into it. It's a whole lot different scrimmaging in the spring versus being ready to go and play a 12-game season and handle all the responsibilities and everything they're going to throw at you defensively and all that kind of stuff. I just know that not at State, I haven't, and not many places, even just kind of glancing around. Have I seen freshman kid come in out of high school that has some of the tangibles that kid has from a size and ability and, mechanics and the way he can ever more throw the ball. I have not seen a freshman like that, not at State. Keith said, hey, from Hernando. It was good to see you the other night, Keith. I enjoyed that. He said, did you play baseball in high school? He said, and I did enjoy your talk about being a people person. Yeah, I did. Played in high school. Our team in high school coming up, we were pretty good at Prattville. Had a good senior year. One step shy. We lost to a team from Mobile. What's the name of that team? Mary Montgomery, maybe, was the school we lost to in the 6A playoffs my senior year of high school. We had a good team, though, and did play throughout high school and played growing up. And for a long, long time, I thought I was a baseball kid until I played football the first year I ever played football in the 8th grade and really loved it. Then flipped the switch and decided, I want to be a football player. But I've always loved baseball. Let's see. Sven, YouTube, says, I didn't see a snap of the spring game. Thanks very much, Zach Selman. That's how much you care about the fans? Well, but think about this, Sven. There could be other reasons for that. What I would say is in the transfer era, the transfer portal era, where it's constant tampering going on. No one is excluded on either side of the tampering scenario. Everybody's getting tampered with, and everybody's tampering in some degree. Okay, look at Tennessee. They just had their deal. They immediately are being accused of tampering with the quarterback who's enrolled at TCU. What I think is there were not only State but other teams around the country that were like, why would we're not putting that on TV. All that is one more thing for some team out here to see and decide, hey, we need that particular linebacker and start working the back. At least make them work for it. We're not putting it on TV. And I think that's what it is. Or might have had something to do with that. Yeah, I know, Nick. I worried about that. Nick said, Matt, out here starting a QB controversy in April. Let's go. Yeah, I'm not meaning to. I'm just being honest with you. You're kind enough and willing to give me some of your attention on a Monday. I believe your attention is the most valuable thing you can give me. You can't ever get it back. What's more precious than your time? It's directly tied to your attention. You give it to me, I owe you some honesty. Dog Tired says, do not want to throw rocks in a glass house. For 3 years, how can Mississippi State baseball continually lose a single inning so severely that it costs a game? Coach Lamonis is extraordinarily smart, but games should reflect practice. Is he not teaching situational skills? He said, we'd have won 5 national championships if the games were 8 innings. That how you feel about it? I don't know, but I think, you do see some times where you just think, what are we doing? What's everybody doing? It's just like the other night, I was talking to somebody about, there was a situation where there's a shift for a left-handed hitter. It leaves third base open. They all come around, right? And some guy going to second base in that shift situation, and he looks up, and there's nobody between him and third, and he outruns the third baseman to third base. Like, okay, what I'm saying is, isn't, if you're going to incorporate and employ the shift as part of your tactics for right-handed hitters and left-handed hitters, aren't there little things that are little fundamental things attached to that you work on it? You don't work on it to the point that you get it right. You work on it in practice to the point that you can't get it wrong. You simply don't give up free bases because you've shifted and your third baseman's over there picking his nose. I mean, you don't allow a base runner after a base hit to go second to third simply because we field it in the outfield and we just go normal lollygag throw back into our infielder. No. There's guys on base, you fire it in there. Every ball that's in play, you treat it like it's life and death. You fire it in there like holding that runner to second base is potentially a really big deal. All these little sloppy things, it's like you get sick of watching that. And it's so much easier to say than to do. And everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to commit errors. But after a period of time, it's like you look at it and you go, okay, if this operation were hemmed up, if it was hemmed up in all the little fundamental things, you field it excellently, throws in from the outfield, holding runners, again, base running, all the stuff that really, it's not a talent deal. It's just simply a matter of how consistently on top of it are you. It makes such a huge difference. And it looks different and it feels different. And I don't know, look, again, I didn't play SEC baseball, but my impression of it is that so much of it is mental as much as it is physical. It's a mental game. That whole and it does go back to some of the things that your coaches were hammering into your head when you were in Little League, right? If you're playing shortstop, okay, let's go over the scenarios. We got a runner at first and a runner at third, no outs. Ball's hit to you. Where are you going with it? 1 out, ball's hit to you. Where are you going with it? 2 outs, ball's hit to you. What are you doing with it? You know, and it's like the mental part of the game of you're always thinking 2 steps ahead and you're always on top of it. And that's what the good teams do. Versus just we're reacting and going up there trying to hit home runs. I don't know. Again, here I'm just a guy talking. It's a whole lot easier to say than it is to do. All right, that's hour 1. It's in the books. Hour 2 coming up. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Hour 2 after this. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor. Jalapeno and cheddar, or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. Know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿 at a grocery store near you. Pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here in the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿.com. That's MURRY West.com.
You have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and 𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿𝐷𝐿.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff.
Worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team. Farm Bureau all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes at your local Farm Bureau insurance agents. Listen, I've got comments to get to over here on the live stream on YouTube from Sven and Hail State Fan. Coming to that. Texts to get to from Denzel and J-Rock, Jonathan, Ronnie, and others. Coming to those. All coming up here in hour number 2 of the show. But I will say, got going, talking about a spring scrimmage and all. But early on, I also kind of waited on checking in with Beaver because there was a delay. Again, I had a little bit of a delay in the connection. I wanted that to have time to kind of work itself out because I don't want to have any awkward. I want to have a conversation with Beaver. I just don't want to have an awkward conversation with Beaver. So let's see. I think it maybe has worked out. We can try it. Hey, Beat.
How's that, Matt Wyatt?
Oh, that's better. How was your Easter weekend, sir?
It was just fine.
Did you eat some candy?
I actually didn't have any candy. No.
Yeah.
No candy. There were no traditional Easter foods made this weekend either.
Okay.
Not at house.
Not at how. What would be considered a traditional Easter food?
Man, I guess ham.
Yeah.
Ham, deviled eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the deviled eggs.
Maybe some potato salad.
See, Mary Lydia and her cousins, they boiled a bunch of eggs and colored them, for Easter. And so down there right now, I'm eyeballing those leftover Easter eggs. I'm ready to peel them and eat them. I like a good hard-boiled egg. You a hard-boiled egg guy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I'm also kind of a jerk with it because I specifically have to get the Vital Farms pasture-raised hard-boiled eggs, which you can only get in 2 locations around here, and one of them I refuse to go to because it's Whole Foods, a.k.a. Hippie Palace.
And the other one is?
What is that place? Fresh Market. It's closer to the station, but it's in that fancy Renaissance shopping mall around the corner.
Mm-hmm. What'd you call it? A Hippie Palace?
Hippie Palace.
Attaboy, B. You get a round of applause. Hippie Palace. Attaboy. Hey, you know what I had? The Easter Bunny, a.k.a. Annabeth, gave me a bag of the Reese's eggs. Not the huge ones either. There's 2 sizes of those.
The peanut butter eggs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Reese's peanut butter eggs, yeah. There's 2 sizes. There's giant ones, and then there's kind of regular. So she gave me a bag of the regular size. And get this, Beaver. Okay. Yesterday, Easter Sunday in Vicksburg, close to where you live. It's all the same. It was warm, but it wasn't hot, right? It was not hot. You wouldn't describe it as hot, would you? Or would you?
No, it wasn't hot.
Okay, I wouldn't describe it as hot either. But Beaver, apparently it was. Because this bag of Reese's peanut butter eggs went straight from the house to the car that was already running to then begin to travel. And then the car had air conditioner running. But eating a couple of them during the trip, open the little package, individual package, to discover that they were slightly melting. Just enough that if you handled it with your, you hold it with your hand, it gets a little chocolate on your hand. I was disappointed in that. I'm like, what temperature does this chocolate need to not melt? And
I don't care for that. I'm with you on that. I don't want the food on my fingers.
You don't want to eat some chocolatey, goody snack candy and it be mushy, gooey, melted. You don't want that.
And a key part of that is you said you ate it while you were driving. Yeah. Therefore, you run the risk of getting it on your steering wheel, too.
You do. And, Beaver, I have to ask you this personal question, but have you ever held something that was slightly melted up close to your air conditioner vent, blowing cold air in the hopes that it would congeal it or harden it before you eat it?
I'm sure at some point I have.
I do it all the time.
I know I've done the thing where if I'm at a drive-through and the food is real hot, I'll hold it in front of the air vent. So
cool it off
I'm sure
quick.
I've done the same with candy to try to make it harder.
Yeah. I tell you, man, I came away with this theory, though, Beaver. That's not your regular thin chocolate candy coating. It's not. It's not. It's a little too melty. It's a little too melts too easy for me. What I'm saying is the outer chocolate on the Reese's peanut butter egg, this is deep stuff here, by the way. It is not the same as the outer thin coating of chocolate on a regular Reese's peanut butter cup. It's not the same. Something's different about it. Beaver, where do we go from here? Anything? Is there a segue? Or do I just go straight into headlines?
You just got to go for it, Matt.
Okay, straight into headlines. All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. My man Went McGee and the folks at the Mortgage Man Group all over the state of Mississippi, from here in the metro, North Mississippi, Starkville, Oxford, Tupelo, Memphis, anything mortgage related, that's where you want to go. Trust me. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. First up, I want to go backwards of what we did in hour one on the headlines today. 36 years ago today, Field of Dreams was released in theaters. How many? What year would that have been? 89? Wait a minute. No, my math's off. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know. 90? Figure it out. Somebody figure it out. Let me what 36 years ago was. That's when they popped it out there in theaters 36 years ago today. Speaking of baseball, this is SEC results from the weekend. State drops 2 out of 3 against Florida at home at Duty Noble. Not good. Not good at all. Ole Miss went to South Carolina, got whooped in the first 2 games, and then salvaged game 3. So they dropped the series at South Carolina on the road. LSU 2 out of 3 against Alabama in Baton Rouge. Texas A&M went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and won a series. They're hot. Aggies are hot. Took 2 out of 3 from Arkansas in Fayetteville. Kentucky went on the road to Knoxville in a raucous environment. Took 2 out of 3 from the Vols there. And then there were 3 sweeps. Vandy swept Georgia in Nashville. Texas swept Auburn. That was in Austin. And Oklahoma swept Missouri in Columbia, Missouri. And Missouri is still 0-for right now in SEC play. So I guess one way to look at that is it could always be worse. Southern Miss had a good week last week. They had a 4-1 week. They won in the midweek against Southeastern Louisiana. And then this weekend at home at Pete Taylor Park, took 2 out of 3 from Georgia State. Southern Miss won game 1 on Thursday night, 8-1. Friday, they were run ruled 12-2, but then responded Saturday, winning game 3, 15-9. And so this week, Southern Miss, they play 5 games this week. Southern Miss is going to host Tulane on Tuesday night. They'll host Southeastern Louisiana on Wednesday, and then hit the road and go north to Boone, North Carolina for a 3-game series at Appalachian State, April 25th through the 27th. That'll be a Friday through Sunday. In the major leagues, Jake Mangum, he had, 2 more hits this weekend, but he did have his hitting streak. I think he was up to maybe 5 games or 6 games and had it come to an end. But had an RBI this weekend, a couple more hits. Average still hovering up there over 300 in the early going in his first year in the majors. Yankees got the best of the Rays, though, this weekend. Rays only got 1 win in the series, and it was an extra innings come from behind deal. They're off tonight. Rays go to Arizona, start playing tomorrow night in a midweek series. Braves host the Cardinals tonight, 6:15, Truist Park. Braves dropped, didn't they? Or did they win the series against Twins? Didn't they play 4 games? I mean, maybe I dreamed that up. No, it was only 3 games. And they swept them, swept the Twins. And so the Braves have improved to 8-13 on the year. Cardinals are 9-13. And the Braves are at home tonight. And even though they've not been good, they've been a little bit better at home when they've been at home. Braves are 6-2 going into this one tonight at home at Truist Park. So Braves Cardinals, 6:15 tonight. Tune in. Those are your headlines, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank, right here in Mississippi. All right, over to the phone line, the Davini Equipment phone line. Call me on the Davini phone, 897-1059. On line 1, it's Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona. What's up, Jason?
Nothing much. You hear me all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
All right, well, to all the people that have been wanting to fire Lamonis for the last 3 years,
yeah,
you were wrong. You were right. I was wrong. You're the best. I'm the worst. You're very good looking. I'm not attractive. So
that might be going too far, but okay.
Yeah, what in the blue happened this weekend? Because I didn't pay attention to any of it. I was out.
Jason, I barely paid attention as far as watching it. I barely paid attention to it myself. I've had a few times throughout the year where I pull up Neil and listen to he and Coach or he and Jay or him and Jay on my phone. I didn't see a lot of it either. And some of the details of things, I talked to some friends and family that are baseball people, and they were explaining it to me. So I can't really go into great detail with you about what did or didn't happen. I just know that it seems to be a little bit more of the same. You know, having some blow-up innings that really cost you the series.
Yeah. I don't know. I called Mr. Jake's show the other day, and I reduced it down to math, where the state needs to go like 10-5 the rest of the year to be 500 at the end in the SEC, and I think that's down to 9-3 now.
Yeah.
Which is possible, but I don't see it. I don't know. It is what it is. You just, they're just too inconsistent, and that's what I've been saying for the last month. Well, you know, if they play clean, they look really good, and if they don't, they look like crap. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get off here and listen. It was kind of shocked to get back Sunday and see that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
well,
y'all have a good one.
You too, Jason. Thank you. And it takes a lot for Jason to come in there and say, okay, you wanted him fired, you're right. You know, let's see a couple of things after Jason's call. First thing he said, you know, he really didn't pay attention to it. Well, listen, see, if you're Zach Selman, okay, if you're the athletics director, and this goes for not just baseball, but all of your sports, okay, but particularly your most favorite sports. And it goes not just for state. This is for any school. When you start to have collectively diehard fans going, or who have throughout their lives been diehard fans going, yeah, I really didn't pay attention this weekend. I'm not real sure what happened. Okay, listen, you got an issue. Now, that issue or the causes and things could rest and could lie in different places at different schools and different situations. Sure they can, but it's up to you. You're sitting on a big fat paycheck and you run a department. It's up to you to figure that out. That's kind of your job. But one thing I do know is I don't have the answers to fix everything, but I do know when there's a problem. That sometimes is the easy part. When it's obvious, and it's obvious, there's a problem. When you can go anywhere in the state of Mississippi and you can find people that throughout their life have been diehard fans, and they go, yeah, I really didn't pay that close attention. Now, greater, broader spectrum, college sports on the whole has that same issue of lifelong diehards all over the country in all different places going, yeah, I'm not really paying that close attention anymore. No, there's an is what it is situation. But kind of similar to what Jason was saying, Ronnie commented on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, I'm just tired of watching reruns. He said, it's time for a new episode. See? And so again, I can just tell you, when you get to a point where not all, but a good section, a good chunk, majority even of your fan base expects things to go negatively because they've been right about that for so long, you got a problem. A negativity issue. And if negativity is an issue. And when you have a larger just sort of negativity issue, you've got an issue. And if you think business as usual will fix that, you got another thing coming. That's way over my head. That's a hard problem to fix. Louvier on the Country Pleasing text line. He says, traditional Easter food at the Louvier household, crawfish boil. And this year was a traditional year. Signed Go Saints with a picture to prove it. Look at that. Look at that. Louvier and the Louviers had a ball. Looks like to me. Happy Easter to you. Kenny Don't Call Me Ken says, for the Easter meal, I made deviled eggs with chopped jalapenos and chorizo Mexican sausage mixed into the yolk. Huh? Time out. Deviled eggs, and then in the yolk mixture in the middle, he had chopped jalapenos and chorizo. Buddy, that's incredible. That sounds great. Okay, now this is cool. Dog tired, and he sent me a picture. He said, my brother is a helicopter pilot. He says, you guys know helicopters are in high demand on Easter Sunday to drop Easter eggs. The helicopter flies in and drops Easter eggs for a big Easter egg hunt. That's cool. I had no idea. MSU 1980 texted the show, said, Matt, yesterday afternoon after the state game, I was watching the Smithsonian Channel, and it was doing a flyover documentary of Iowa. They flew over the Field of Dreams and talked about it being a huge tourist attraction. I thought about you talking about it when I saw this. Now that's cool. I'd love to see that aerial of that. And I guess it looks different now because, like I say, back over kind of to the southwest of where the Field of Dreams is, where they filmed the movie and where the house is and all that. is the new Major League Park, or, you know, huge baseball park they've built over there that the Major Leagues used, maybe the last couple of years for a special game in the middle of the summer. It's really cool. But it was, you know, being a fan of the movie, having watched it over the years and stuff, it's just a neat thing. You know, I have the experience, we have it here in Mississippi some, where you'll learn of a place that was part of a movie filming. It was a filming location or something, and you go and you see it. It's neat, but it obviously does not look like it did in the movie. Some of it might have been CG'd over and included, kind of like they did in Edwards for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It may be long enough that it's really changed since they filmed it. Again, like Edwards, the bridge over the railroad tracks in Edwards, they got rid of the old wooden one, and now it's a much sturdier, more modern structure. It still looks cool, but not like it did in the movie. But that was the thing that was neat for me back summer of 2021, going to the Field of Dreams, is hats off to those people. Huge tourist attraction, but it looks exactly like it did in the movie. The field, the bleachers, those wooden bleachers that they used to film that scene where James Earl Jones stood up and said, "Ray, people will come, Ray." Well, those actual bleachers are still sitting there. Same ones. Been sitting there this whole time, over 36 years ago. You can still see where, Costner chiseled into the seat on one of the places on the bleachers there, "Ray loves Annie," you know, the characters of the movie. It's all still there. It looks the same. And that was one of the cool things about it, is getting to see it the way it was in the movie. Very neat experience. All right. Rolling along, hour number 2 with you on this Reaction Monday. Get your reaction in. We got plenty of time left. I'm Matt. Beaver is here. Back after this.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing. It's a what? It's a swing wing, it's a wing wing. A brand new transgrand fun thing. It's a what? It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing. It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5.
At the Zone 105.9 and coming to you worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. So Jason called on the Davini phone, but he cleared it up for me here on the Country Pleasin' text line. Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. Jason said, to be clear, I didn't pay attention, talking about baseball, because we were on an Easter trip. He said it didn't have anything to do with being indifferent. He said, if I'd been home, I'd have been listening. All right, Jason, got it. Got it cleared up. He's not indifferent. Now, on the negativity deal, let's see. Pug on the Country Pleasin' text line says, negativity is a massive issue amongst the state fan base. He says, we have some of the most delusional fans on earth. He says, a lot of great ones, too, to be fair. All right. Then he said for Easter, we had smoked. He said, we smoked a chicken at our house for Easter. He says, we don't really have any Easter-specific traditions, but he says, but we might add smoked chicken into the mix. Also had pork belly burnt ends, sausage stuffed mushrooms, sausage stuffed pork chops. All from your friends at Country Meat Packers. Bring that on. The sausage stuffed mushrooms now. You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. That was great. What did Will say? Will on YouTube said, traditional Easter food is ham and deviled eggs. And then candy. Chocolate bunnies, Peeps, jelly beans, and Cadbury eggs. My father-in-law, Big Winky, he had a really nice spread for lunch yesterday, including some of the best crock pot green beans I've ever had. He started cooking them things the night before. Man, they were great. Great. And I overdid it, too. I ate so much for lunch, I didn't even eat any supper. Like, I really didn't eat any supper whatsoever at night. I was still full from lunch. 36 years ago today, Field of Dreams hit the theaters. Classic scene.
Ray, people will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have and peace they like.
Ray, Just sign the papers.
And they'll walk out to the bleachers. And sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game. And it'll be as if they'd dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick they'll have to brush them away from their faces.
Ray, when the bank opens in the morning, they'll foreclose.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Yeah, wow, how about that? Mississippi's own James Earl Jones. God rest his soul. I think we lost him, last year? 2024? Or was it earlier this year? No, it was recent. You know, and Ray Liotta that played Shoeless Joe Jackson, that movie, lost him in the last couple of years too. But 36 years ago today, that movie hit the theaters. MSU 1980 referenced seeing an aerial shot of it and me telling the story about getting to visit it. I had to go through a lot of effort, to get there and visit it when I did, but I was glad I did. Got to see all that. And then I read this too somewhere along the way, studying it. But when they filmed at that Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa, they built the baseball field in the middle of a cornfield next to a farmhouse. They had some challenges. They had a drought during that time, that summer. Severe drought delayed the corn growth, and it forced the filmmakers to use irrigation. They pumped in all this water, and they needed extra time to grow the corn to the required height. Okay. And so it'd be around, and you'd have corn that the baseball players could walk into and disappear. But then also, the scene where, beginning of the movie, Ray Kinsella, played by Kevin Costner, hears the voice, if you build it, he will come. If you build it, he will come. So then he's out in the middle of a cornfield, doing something out there. And he hollers back at the house, "Hey, Annie, you hear that?" "No, what?" He's hearing things. Well, but the additional part of that story is, it's like they overwatered it. Okay, it's like they overwatered it when they irrigated it, and they hit a point where then the corn stalks grew so tall so fast that for that particular scene of the movie, the beginning, when he hears the voice, the stalks were like 8-9 feet tall. And if Kevin Costner had been standing on the ground, you wouldn't even be able to see him, let alone have the dramatic shot on the storyboard that they wanted going into it, which was, I can see his head, I can see the over the tops of all the corn stalks right up to the house. You wouldn't have been able to see any of that. So then they had to go in and build like a wooden platform and walkway, big plank walkway, that for him to stand on, so that his head would be above the tops of the corn stalks for that particular scene. So when you watch the movie, it may ruin it for you, but he's not on there. He's acting like he's shoveling in the ground, and they've got sound effects pumped in. He's not shoveling anything. He's pretending he's standing on a wooden platform, because the corn was like 10 feet tall. And the other thing too was, so they water it, corn stalks come up, but the deal is it's not rain. Rain being different than water pumped in there from some creek or pond nearby. Okay, So it grew the stalks, but that water didn't grow any corn. Rain's bringing something in there. What is it? Farmers, what is it? The rain's bringing something in there that actually grows the corn. So all that cornfield and everything, it never had corn in it. It was just stalks. Not one ear of corn. So as soon as they quit filming, they cut all that down. They didn't lose anything other than the money they put in irrigating it and all that. Said they also blocked out. I mean, how about this? You know, like what? How do you pull that off? They blocked off like a whole week for filming stuff in Boston, including at Fenway Park. I don't know how you get that done. Yeah, that's a great movie. Makes me want to go back and watch it again. I've watched it enough over the years to kind of have the movie memorized, and then I take it for granted and I don't watch the movie. I'm like, well, I know the story. Why would I want to watch it again? But I need to do that. It's always better to go back and watch it. Kenny, don't call me Ken. All right, on the baseball. Ken E. says, in my opinion, Lemonis needed firing way back when he threw me out of the new dude. Yeah, Kenny, I'm now sort of recalling your story. He got on your bad side then, huh? What was it? He was just trying to get a glimpse of the new dude, and Coach Lemonis was giving a tour or something like that and told him, hey, get out of here. You can't be in here right now. Or was it something like that? We need your story again, Kenny. Dog Tired in Florence. He references, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Said, my wife's friend, her grandfather was the film extra, the man that sold the Dapper Dan hair wax. Really? So your friend's grandfather played that part. And said my coworker was the one who tore up the gate and propped it up with an oak pallet for the big meeting on the levee with Babyface Nelson. Really? Hey, Dog Tired, talk that guy into coming on the show and telling his story. I want to hear the story about being in that movie. All right, and Real C, a great text from you. I'll get to it coming up. Real C's got some heavy thoughts on MSU baseball coming up right after this. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others.
You're going to hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt here in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Real C says on the Country Pleasing text line, Matt, this will be a career-defining moment for Zach Selman, for sure, and possibly for Dr. Keenum, too. The one constant major program at State has always been baseball. It was once elite, but has since fallen from that level. But the facilities remain. The fan base will never 100% agree it's the flagship athletic program at MSU, but its success proves otherwise. Selman needs help with this, as does Dr. Keenum. They absolutely must get this right, or potentially spiral into a much more difficult position. Real C says the players are currently and have been there, as this is a direct result of non-elite leadership. And then he signed it, peace, love, and baseball. That's from Real C. What do y'all think? What do you think about those thoughts? I think, the importance to get it right. And I do think that, baseball is one thing at State that you have to get it right, and and Coach Lamonis has had some success, but I think what it is over a period of time, there just has to be kind of a level of consistency that you're talking about there, and when it's not there, you got problems. And the other thing too is timing. I don't know. Who knows? You may look up 10 years from now and go, well, everything changed to the point that it was really hard to manage if you didn't have, just simply as much cash to throw at players as other places were allotting, the LSUs of the world. Well, maybe it is that simple, but maybe it isn't. See, and again, I guess Real C, I wonder, you might agree with this. You know, if I was someone who's making $500,000 a year or $1 million a year to be in that leadership position, then I don't have the right to say, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years. You just don't, that's not, you don't have the room to do that. Me as a fan or media person or whatever on the outside looking in, you know, I have the room to go, yeah, I don't, you know, 10 years from now, you may look back and say so-and-so. That's the hard part. That's why you're paid all that money, is to figure those things out and get ahead of it. They really need to get ahead of it. Tough position to be in, for sure. Jared on Facebook said, we have 3 really good starters and a good lineup that can produce even with the struggles of bases loaded situations this weekend. But short of Sawyer Reeves, we cannot play defense. He says, and giving the opponent extra at-bats and runs, those good starters, it runs those good starters out of the game. Y'all hang with me. I'm reading without punctuation here. Giving the opponent extra at-bats runs those good starters out of the game with high pitch counts and gives the other team more opportunities to score based off mistakes. Jared said, now Lamonis should not put Stevens, a first baseman, in center field, but at some point these players have to do a gut check and play with some pride. You know, and again, that's another thing. Somebody on the inside, whether it's coach or AD or whatever, they also have to sort of judge make a judgment call on culture, right? And because that's another thing that I can see results and talk about what it looks like, but I don't really know unless you're in there. And I'm not in there. I hope Bill hears this. Uncle Bill, wherever you are. Bill, on this day in 1982, April the 21st, 1982, the final episode of this show aired on CBS.
Baby, if you've ever wondered whatever became of me, I'm living on the air in Cincinnati, WKRP.
WKRP in Cincinnati. Long run, very popular. Classic scene everybody remembers, right? The turkey drop on Thanksgiving.
We were never meant to be. Just maybe think of me once in a while.
So that was on this day in... Oh, wait.
KRP in Cincinnati.
So they included the old, like, radio-style jingle in the theme song. That was on this day in 82. And 11 years later, this day in 93, the first episode of this show aired on the same network, CBS.
In the eyes of a ranger, the unsuspecting stranger had better know the truth of wrong from right.
He's singing his own.
'Cause the eyes of the ranger are upon you. Any wrong you do, he's gonna see.
Chuck Norris, he's singing.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. 'Cause that's where the ranger's gonna be.
Yep. Good old Walker, Texas Ranger. Oh, and happy birthday. I wonder, let me do the math on this. How old is this guy turning? I'm going to figure out how old he is, and then I'm going to tell you who he is in just a minute. And I will admit, I'm typing it in on my iPhone. Turning 74 years old today. 74 years old today. One of the stars of this show. Anybody got it? You know what it is?
There's a time for love and a time for living. Take a chance and face the wind.
Tony Danza. That's right. Who's the Boss? Before that, he was famous on Taxi. It's a great show. Danny DeVito and the lot. This is Who's the Boss, though. Happy birthday, Tony Danza.
There's a path you take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. Nights are long, but you might awaken to a brand new life. Brand new life. A brand new life around the bend.
Who's the Boss? Grew up watching that show. As I mentioned, it's a Monday. You don't have college baseball on Mondays, and outside of tournament time, and so midweek baseball for everybody picks up tomorrow. I told you Southern Miss is playing 2 midweek games. They got Tulane tomorrow night, and then Southeast Louisiana Wednesday night, and then hit the road for the weekend. They go to App State. That beautiful ballpark up there, Appalachian State, in Boone, North Carolina. So they've got 2 midweek games for State Ole Miss. Let's see, tomorrow night, Tuesday, it's 6 p.m. first pitch, State versus Ole Miss, Trustmark Park in Pearl. And that should be a lot of fun. I have not peeked ahead at weather, but hopefully it's good. And both teams, I know it's a midweek deal. They both need a win, and rivalry deal also, but need a win. Ole Miss coming off a series loss at South Carolina. State coming off a series loss at home to Florida. So that's tomorrow night. And I would think after that one, neither are playing on a Wednesday. I would think. Arkansas is going to play a Wednesday game this week. And then we'll head off into this coming weekend. So you got Major League Baseball tonight if you want to watch some sports. Yankees go to Cleveland. They just cleaned house this past weekend, or pretty much. They didn't sweep. They didn't sweep the Rays, but they won 3 out of 4. And so the Yankees are in Cleveland tonight. No break for them. Mentioned to you Braves and Cardinals. Around here we got a bunch of Braves and a bunch of Cardinals fans. They're going to play tonight in Atlanta. Looks like 6:15 first pitch for that one, Truist Park. Who else? Yeah, Astros are at home tonight hosting the Blue Jays. 7 o'clock first pitch. That's Central Time if you want that. You already had a game today. They played in Boston. The Red Sox beat the White Sox 4-2. But just a few select games, and everybody else will be back in action tomorrow in Major League Baseball. So that'll wrap it up for today. Thanks for tuning in on this Monday. I enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Thanks for the texts and the calls and all the comments on the live stream. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show. See you tomorrow. See you.